Here will the hammer-stroke fall hardest, and for that reason Mithrandir came hither in such haste. For if we fall, who shall stand? Hello, and welcome to the latest episode of the Line Unbroken, my progression-style playthrough series of the Lord of the Rings living card game. I'm playing the third and final quest from the Flame of the West, Saga expansion, in campaign mode of course, Battle of the Pelennor Fields. So, setup. Set each Harad enemy recorded in the campaign log aside out of play. The Octagon deck puts all the possible Harad enemies on the table here. I personally don't like this, partly because in combination with my own campaign pool, it ends up stretching the size of the Octagon table. I feel like this is something that we should be able to just do for ourselves in the campaign pool, but never mind. This is the only enemy I got when I played Journey to the Crossroads. The rest of them are going to go sit in the victory display out of my way. Now I can move all this across and reset the zoom. So let's see, I do not need the rules card. The only important thing is that Minas Tirith has hit points and the assault keyword, which I'll explain when I get to it. Oh, and this strategy tip points out that since there are many different triggered effects, they're pretty much all grouped at either the beginning of the quest phase or the end of the round. So those are the only two times that I really need to be watching out to make sure I'm not forgetting things. The first player attaches Anduril and Banner of Elendil to Aragorn and sets him aside out of play. Interestingly, although the Octagon deck gives you all the Harad enemies, it doesn't actually give you Anduril for some reason, which is why I put it in my sideboard here. So, Aragorn is also a valiant warrior, so that should be on here. And so that means he's plus 1 willpower to attack, 1 defense, and I'll just lock him since he's not currently in play, and therefore should not be gaining resources. This is supposed to be in the encounter deck. Which I can then shuffle. Let's see. Add the Corsair fleet to the staging area, Gondor side face up, and place X resources on it, where X is the number recorded in the campaign log. This, of course, is from the previous quest, and it's only 4 because I did very well at Siege of Gondor. Remove each burden with the following burden set icons from the encounter deck, then flip this card over. And on the other side, it's just when the players advance to stage 5B, add each set-aside Harad enemy to the staging area, and then the resolution. So, the regular setup. Set Minas Tirith, Grond, the Witch King, and each copy of Wraith on Wings aside out of play. Search the encounter deck for a copy of Pelennor Fields and make it the active location. Shuffle the encounter deck. The players may attach Esquire of Rohan and Esquire of Gondor to different heroes. So, Esquire of Rohan, of course, goes on Merry. Opponent attached to a hero. Attached hero gains the Rohan trait. Attached hero gets +1 attack while attacking with another Rohan character. And Esquire of Gondor, of course, goes on Pippin. Permanent attached to a hero. Attached hero gains the Gondor trait. Attached hero gets +1 willpower while committed to the quest with another Gondor character. And then, of course, my campaign pool, we will put Old Bogey Stories onto Merry. Hoton Bombadil is added to the hand of the first player. The 3 golden hairs will put on Eowyn. I'm probably not using them here anyway. Pippin can have the Lembas. Beyond All Hope is, of course, attached to Gandalf. Now, as is often the case, I was still debating whether I want to mulligan this hand. It's a pretty good opening hand. I would quite like to have a Wizard Pipe. But I don't know. I mean, there is a lot to be said for this hand. I suppose. Well, Glamdring is not crucial. Starting off immediately with Shadowfax and Snowmane is fairly significant, and Gandalf's staff is great. But I don't know, maybe I should just go looking straight for the wizard pipe. I'm going... Yeah, let's take a mulligan and see what we get. Still no wizard pipe. Steward of Gondor, not such a great thing to have immediately. A good harvest is fine. I suppose it allows for quick Steward of Gondor, unexpected courage, that sort of thing. Possibly the wrong decision to mulligan there, but, well, I still have Shadowfax at least. Oh, and other campaign pool. Well, not campaign pool. Eowyn reduces this deck's threat by 3. Each deck gets +1 threat for having a fallen hero earlier in the campaign, and also +2 threat as a campaign thing from the end, the resolution of Passage of the Marshes, which I forgot for the other 2 quests in this box, which is unfortunate. It probably wouldn't have impacted my victories, I hope. But there it is. So, companies came and were hailed and cheered and passed through the gate, men of the Outlands marching to defend the city of Gondor in a dark hour. Skip the quest phase and combat phase. Forced at the end of the planning phase, place 1 progress here. That does, of course, mean that I put the progress here, not on the quest, which would then mean it would be eaten up by the active location. That many free rounds at the start would be a bit ridiculous. Oh, I should also look here. The Corsair Fleet. Forced at the beginning of the quest phase, remove 1 resource from the Corsair Fleet. Then, if there are no resources here, the first player takes control of Aragorn and adds the Corsair Fleet to the victory display. Of course, note that this is at the beginning of the quest phase, so on stage 1, we skip the quest phase, so I don't remove a resource. So, Control N. Okay. Daeron's Runes, definitely want to immediately play that from the top of my deck during the resource phase. Draw 2 cards, and okay. Well, let's see, I think I only have 1 copy of the sword that was broken, so I definitely don't want to discard that. Master of the Forge is an interesting thing. It's potentially difficult to justify spending the resources on him, but on the other hand, maybe not, because finding some of the attachments early on, if I don't just draw into them naturally. So maybe I do want to hold on to him. Maybe the Steward of Gondor, but maybe not. Yeah, this is a hand full of very good cards. I could possibly manage losing 1 unexpected courage. Yeah, let's see, I have 3 unexpected courages and 3 stewards of Gondor. Realistically, unexpected courages, I want 1 on Beregond. That's the most important one. 1 on Beregond. Gandalf gets Shadowfax. 1 on the Theoden would be nice. but ultimately there's only the one that's really important, so I think I do that. And okay, now we arrive in the planning phase. So, obviously, what I really want to do here is good harvest into Steward of Gondor, which will then allow me to play more stuff. So, okay. Yeah, well, I definitely want to do that. So, good harvest, naming leadership, Steward of Gondor. Obviously, if I only drew Steward later on, then it could make sense to put it on Aragorn, because he can potentially end up with all spheres. But it's more significant to get more cards on the table early on. Now, getting this Master of the Forge out quickly could actually be significant, allowing me to find other key cards. But it does mean that I would be missing out on the +1 willpower from Esquire of Gondor, which otherwise I could get. I'm not sure how bothered I am about that, though. So, yeah, I think... I don't know. I could put it on Gandalf equally, but... This is the thing. I would really like to be able to get this Master of the Forge, so... Yeah, we're going to... go for Pippin. And then pay 2 for Gandalf's staff, which I can exhaust to add a resource to Pippin. Play the Master of the Forge. Exhaust him to search the top 5 cards of my deck for an attachment. Take the Unexpected Courage. And shuffle my deck. Okay. I would really like that Wizard Pipe is the thing. And over here, well, I will of course pay 1 for the Gondorian Shield on Beregond. And I guess that's it. So at the end of the planning phase, I put a progress here. There's no quest phase, there's no combat phase, so that's just it for the round. And, well, actually, I might want to play the Unexpected Courage before using the Master of the Forge. So I'll think about that. And here, well, let's see. Bofa could be good, but I'm bearing in mind the effect when I arrive on stage 2, which makes me cautious about playing allies immediately. So I think I may just leave it. And over here, yeah, I'm pretty sure I want this Unexpected Courage, so play the Unexpected Courage onto Beregond, then exhaust the Master of the Forge, and, okay, no Wizard Pipe. Well, I found a Warden of Healing, which I can't play yet, unless I exhaust Gandalf's staff to draw it, but I think I would rather spend these 3 resources on Shadowfax and exhaust Gandalf's staff to add a resource to Beregond so I can play Test of Will. Okay. And now we advance to stage 2. The enemy, men murmured. The dike is down. Here they come pouring through the breaches. When revealed, each player adds one set-aside Wraith on Wings to the staging area and reveals an encounter card. So, 2 Wraiths on Wings and 2 encounter cards. Surge, that's unfortunate. Pelennor Fields, and either deal 2 damage to a hero you control or deal 2 damage to Minas Tirith. That's for this deck. So I guess I'll do 2 damage to Gandalf. Obviously Minas Tirith is not in play, so I couldn't take the other option. Starting with the first player, each player discards cards from the top of his deck until he discards an ally that is not in play. Put the discarded ally into play in the staging area and treat its text box as if it were blank until the end of the phase. So, Erogrim, Beachbone. Okay, so Beachbone goes up here, and here I know that it's this Warden of Healing. And there's the Wizard Pipe. This is why I really wanted the Wizard Pipe, because I could have put the Wizard Pipe onto Gandalf and used it to swap Gimli onto the top of my deck, guaranteeing that he would be an ally, so that I wouldn't discard any important cards from my deck and I could guarantee a good ally. As it was, I could already see that I had a Warden of Healing there, so I knew that I wouldn't be discarding any useful cards, but getting the 4-cost Gimli for free when I get through this would have been nicer. Also, he has more hit points, which is also going to be relevant. Where are our own folk? X is the total cost of all allies in the staging area. Allies in the staging area are treated as if their text box is blank, are immune to player card effects, and are under no player's control. Forced, at the end of the round, assign damage among allies in the staging area equal to the number of enemies in the staging area. So it would be nice, theoretically, to have the 3 hit points of Gimli on top of the 4 hit points of Beachbone, allowing me to potentially take my time a bit more on this stage, rather than trying to finish it as fast as possible. That said, 4 hit points on Beachbone is still pretty good for that, with just him. Does allow me a certain amount of freedom, whereas if I'd gotten another one hit point ally, as well as the Warden of Healing, then that basically means I could only be here for 1 round. So, that is the quest advancement. We are now at the beginning of the quest phase. So I remove 1 resource from the Corsair fleet, and I add 1 resource to the Wraiths on Wings. Limit 5 resources, they get +1 threat and -1 engagement cost for each resource. So the threat in the staging area is 1, 2, 3, 5, 7. We will quest for 4, 6. All of my heroes here are +1 willpower because of Theoden. So 4, 6, 11. If I engage enemies, it would be nice to be able to kill them. So I have scope for that with just Gandalf and Merry. So 14. Okay. And we reveal another Orc of the Eye. So I guess there is a treachery that deals 1 damage to all exhausted characters, or I think 5 damage to Minas Tirith. So I don't want to leave Eowyn with only 1 hit point. So I deal 2 damage to Theoden. I can hopefully get this Warden of Healing. And there it is, either deal 1 damage to each exhausted character, or deal 5 damage to Minas Tirith. That would kill my Master of the Forge, It would leave Theoden and Pippin with only 1 hit point left each, or I could play this Test of Will. So I have added 2 threat to the staging area. I make 5 progress. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Of course, the quest points here are 5. So let's see. Pelennor Field, while at least 1 enemy is in the staging area, progress cannot be placed on the locations in the staging area. I have nothing that places progress on locations in the staging area, so that's not an issue. I probably should travel to the Pelennor Field, try to keep the staging area as clear as possible. Now, this Mordor Orc will engage me regardless, but it would be good to get these Orcs of the Eye out of the staging area. I'm not really ready to deal with the Wraiths on Wings yet. So I suppose that's an optional engagement on each Orc of the Eye, and the Mordor Orc will then naturally engage here. I draw a card for Pippin. Oh no, wait! Ah, Tireless Hunters, yes. Okay, actually, hang on. Let me think about this. This deck definitely will be engaging an Orc of the Eye, I think. So I do get to draw that card. I also have to consider my defenses. In general, I would be fairly comfortable taking a Mordor Orc undefended. Of course, while Minas Tirith is in play, undefended damage dealt by Mordor Orc must be dealt to Minas Tirith, and that's something that I could deal with. If Minas Tirith was in play, the extra damage on it wouldn't be too much of a problem. At the moment, however, I would have to take the damage actually on a hero, which would mean that any attack boost would kill a hero since Theoden is already damaged. Beregond can defend twice. Gandalf could defend, and he is a sentinel, but I would rather have him ready with his 4 attack to kill something. I also will have to deal with this archery. So, and of course Gandalf is also already damaged, which makes it riskier to take an Orc of the Eye undefended. Because I would have to take it on Beregond, and any attack boost would kill him. I may have to just take some of these risks, though, if I want to have a reasonable board state. Or, well, leaving 1 additional enemy in the staging area. Beachburn would survive. I kind of have to advance the quest next round anyway. Just a little bit of extra archery. I suppose I can just do this. Because, of course, Tireless Hunters is a good consideration, but it is specifically play only before the resolving enemy attacks step. So I would still have to defend whatever I engaged. So Beregond defends this, Discard a non-objective attachment you control. There go the 3 golden hairs. And Beregond also defends this, and I remember to assign the 1 point of archery damage to Gandalf. Deal 1 damage to Minas Tirith, which is not in play. Beregond takes no damage, and I lower my threat by 1. Now, Merry and Gandalf can kill the Mordor Orc. And I trigger Merry to ready Gandalf, and he can kill the Orc of the Eye. Control N. Okay. So, given the treachery that deals damage to exhausted characters, I should probably not use my Master of the Forge right now. But let's see. I will use Gandalf's staff to add a resource to Gandalf, so that I can immediately play this Armored Destria onto Beregond. So that's his 2 restricted slots taken up very nicely. Put Snowmane onto Theoden. Let's see, I could play Naya. It's not so immediately helpful. And indeed the Wizard Pipe. Actually, yeah, I suppose it's possible that Naya might be useful to have, and I may as well play the Wizard Pipe. Over here, we're past the putting allies into play. Oh, of course, at the end of the round, assign damage among allies in the staging area equal to the number of enemies in the staging area, which was 3. So there's 3 damage on Beachbone. So now, I think I definitely want this Durdingle warrior into play. Pay 3 from Theoden for the Master Ironsmith. After you play Master Ironsmith from your hand, if you paid all of its resource cost from a single hero's resource pool, attach a weapon or armor attachment from your hand or discard pile to that hero without paying its resource cost. So, Herogrim is in my discard pile. I attach it to Theoden without paying its resource cost, or indeed needing a sphere match. Now, I could save a resource for Tireless Hunters, or I could play Bofur. Tireless Hunters could be fairly significant, potentially. So I think maybe I want to keep that option available. On the other hand, the extra willpower might be significant as well. Let me think. There is going to be 2, 4, 6 threat in the staging area. I need to make 4 progress to clear the location, and another 3, 4 to complete the quest. So I need to quest for 14 plus however much threat is revealed. So let's see, potentially 4, 6, 9, 14, 17, 18. I might not manage it even with all of that. Obviously, that is the best I can do. Adding in Bofur, it could be 20. Let's go for that. Bofa. So, now we quest for, I believe it was 20. 4, 6, 9, 14, 17, 19, 20. This does unfortunately mean that Merry is not ready for combat, with his ability to re-ready other heroes. But, well, we'll just see how things go. Of course, these two things have happened. And I reveal, okay, so that's 1 damage to each exhausted character. Because I don't want to use up Hoton Bombadil on it. And put the topmost orc enemy in the discard pile into play, engaged with you. Which would be the Orc of the Eye. That's a bit of a problem. I have added 5 threat to the staging area, so 9 progress, which is enough. Pelennor Field is explored, and I advance the quest. At last the city was besieged, enclosed in a ring of foes. The Ramas was broken and all the Pelennor abandoned to the enemy. When revealed, each player takes control of each ally he owns in the staging area and exhausts it. The first player adds Minas Tirith, Grond, and the Witch King, captain side face up, to the staging area. Each other player searches the encounter deck and discard pile for a different enemy and adds it to the staging area. Shuffle the encounter deck. So, here's my Warden of Healing, exhausted, and here is Beachbone, also exhausted. Minas Tirith I'm going to put over here. Minas Tirith has 30 hit points plus 10 for each player, so in this case 50. Forced at the end of the round, deal 1 damage to Minas Tirith for each enemy in the staging area. Then if Minas Tirith has no hit points remaining, the players lose the game. Grond and the Witch King, captain side face up. The Witch King, immune to player card effects, cannot be optionally engaged or take damage. Forced at the beginning of the quest phase, discard cards from the encounter deck until an enemy is discarded. Add the discarded enemy to the staging area. And Grond, immune to player card effects, X is the number of resources on Grond. Forced at the beginning of the quest phase, place 1 resource on Grond, then deal X damage to Minas Tirith. Travel, the Witch King makes an immediate attack against each player in turn order. Since the middle night, the Great Assault had gone on. Assault. The White City besieged gets plus 4 quest points for each player in the game. The players cannot travel to Pelennor locations. Forced, when an enemy is destroyed, place progress on this stage equal to that enemy's total threat. Progress must be placed on the active location first. Oh, I quested successfully, so Theoden is raided by Snowmane. Now, yes, the thing with the assault keyword is that if I quest unsuccessfully, rather than raising each deck's threat, I simply place damage on Minas Tirith equal to the amount by which I failed the quest. Questing successfully has no effect other than I don't place more damage. The only way to place progress on this quest card is by killing enemies. So let's use the Master of the Forge, grab a spare copy of the Wizard Pipe, shuffle the deck, play Daeron's Runes, discard spare Wizard Pipe, now let's see. I have 3 defences available from Baragond. Obviously it would be nice if I could kill something, so it's not essential. If I want to get Grond immediately out of the staging area, then of course I would need to travel to it now, which means I need to take 2 attacks from the Witch King, which Baragond could defend and still have 1 action left over to defend this Orc of the Eye, but I couldn't deal with anything else. or it would be difficult for me to deal with anything else. Of course, I also have the option of using Gandalf and Naya to ready allies. So I could potentially ready this Dundingle warrior to make a defense, and also ready another ally to help with an attack. That's a possibility. Ideally, I might quite like to also ready the Warden of Healing to heal some of this damage, which is making it more difficult for me to take all of these attacks. But it's just a question of priorities. It might be better for me not to travel to Grund right away, in favour of clearing out some of the enemies. Because if Beregond doesn't have to defend the Witch King twice, then I have one Beregond defense on this Orc of the Eye, and two others could be these two. Or I could possibly use a Tireless Hunters to engage a Wraith on Wings. Well, I could engage a Wraith on Wings just anyway, but yeah, so definite options. And then if Beregond is defending everything, then I would not have to use Naya to ready the Dundingle warrior. I could instead use it to ready Warden of Healing and maybe Beachbone for more attack. Let's see, it would be very useful to get rid of the archery damage, I think. I only have the one Warden of Healing in play. So, yeah, so I think I do not travel to Grund, and I just engage these two enemies. This guy's tougher, so he should probably be over here. I draw a card for Pippin. And I think that should be it. I don't think I do want to do the... Oh no, I don't have a resource for Tireless Hunters. So no chance of me taking a Wraith on Wings at this juncture. Because of course I have Eowyn's ability to ready her with +9 attack, which could definitely allow me to kill a Wraith on Wings in combination with other attackers. Okay, oh, but if Gandalf is going to kill this, then he can't be using Naya. Beachbone, using his ability, I would have to heal him first. But using his ability could kill either of these by himself, which would mean it would be the Orc of the Eye. Okay, so if I put these the other way around, I still get to draw a card for Pippin. Right. Deal my shadow cards. Archery 2. Very short on hit points all over the place. But I guess at this point, if that treachery comes up, I'm dealing damage to Minas Tirith. Regardless. So, Beregond defends this. Takes no damage, and I lower my threat by 1. He defends this. Takes no damage. I ready him with the Armored Destria and discard this shadow card, and he defends that as well. I exhaust Gandalf and Naya to ready the Warden of Healing and Beachbone. I exhaust the Warden of Healing to heal Beachbone and... let's see. Anyone liable to defend? Dundigal Warrior is a possibility, I suppose, but... Theoden, I think. He's a riskier defender and a more limited attacker. So, now Beachbone attacks. I trigger his ability, dealing 1 damage to him to deal 3 damage to the Orc of the Eye, which is dead. Theoden attacks, exhausting Herogrim to add his willpower, so he's attacking for 6. Unfortunately, because Herogrim exhausted for that, I can't then exhaust it to trigger Foe Hammer. But the archery is gone. Both of those enemies were 2 threat, so I place 4 progress here. There's a total of 12 quest points on this quest card, because plus 4 for each player in the game. At the end of the round, deal 1 damage to Minas Tirith for each enemy in the staging area. So 3. And of course, remember, it has 50 quest points. Not quest points, hit points. Overcome by Grief has not triggered yet. That's fine. I have not forgotten that. Control N. New round. Okay, there's my fast hitch. That's nice to see. Gondorian Shield. I don't know if there's... Well, I could consider putting that Gondorian Shield just on Theoden. It would just be plus 1 defense, but just on the off chance that he does end up defending something. Or I could put it on Gandalf. He's not using his other restricted slot yet, but I have Glamdring in my hand. So no, that's not something I could do. I could save the spare Gondorian Shield and put it on Aragorn. That's also an option. He's a decent defender. He has Anduril to counterattack. He doesn't have the Gondor trait. Of course, that's another reason why giving him Steward of Gondor could have been a reasonable idea, but... I mean, ideally, I do want Theoden to be an attacker, not a defender. I do now have the Dundigal Warrior ready to defend as well, on top of Baragon's 3 defenses. Possibilities of using Tireless Hunters to avoid shadow cards. I don't know. No, I think, yeah, just in case. Put the Gondorian Shield onto Theoden. Okay, now... Glamdring is good. Unexpected Courage might be better. Unexpected Courage onto probably Gandalf. So... Well, in fact, I can possibly play both. Unexpected Courage onto Gandalf. Fast Hitch onto Merry. So he can quest and still be ready for combat. And now... Do I want Glamdring immediately? Do I want the extra willpower from Mablung? Immediately playing Glamdring would allow Gandalf to kill this Morgul captain by himself, because I could also save the resources to ready my Warden of Healing. That is also a possibility, but yeah, this Morgul captain is actually kind of awkward. So this will save me some time if I just do this. And okay, beginning of the quest phase. resource on Grond, X damage to Minas Tirith, which is just 1. And discard cards from the encounter deck until an enemy is discarded to the staging area. But it's not revealed, so no surge. I suppose actually... No, I have most of the attachments that I really care about. I might want the option of using Master of the Forge as a chump. So... Okay, there is 3, 6, 7, 13, 14 threat in the staging area. So we can quest for 3, 8, 10, 14. That's a good start. Theoden's readying is conditional on him questing successfully. So I want to be wary of that at this point. Let's see. I mean, if I were to throw in Theoden, 17, maybe 19, 20. The odds of me revealing 6 threat are not actually that high. So, I mean, it's quite common on this quest stage not to quest successfully, but I think I stand a reasonable chance if I just go for this. So, questing for 20. Each player searches the encounter deck and discard pile for an enemy and puts it into play engaged with him. Shuffle the encounter deck. Well, I'm tempted to use Hotom Bombadil, but that said, I can probably deal with this. It does not add threat to the staging area. This might still slow me down for Grond. But I think this is still something I can deal with. So, I mean, obviously, Mordor Orcs, in an emergency, I can take undefended. On the other hand, Morgul Captains, I avoid the when revealed. Orcs of the Eye, I avoid the when revealed, though not the archery. But the when revealed is just to more damage still. So, I suppose if I want to keep the option available for me to travel to Grond, then Mordor Orcs may be the way to go. I avoid the surge, and I can potentially take them undefended. So let's just take 2 Mordor Orcs. And the second reveal is a Southron Champion. So indeed, I do quest successfully, and I do ready Theoden. I do not have to engage this Southron Champion, because he's +1 engagement cost from Pippin. So, I could travel to Grond at this point, I think. It's a possibility, at least. Of course, well, this is the thing. If I travel to Grond, I take the attacks from the Witch King, which then means I'm a bit short on defences and probably one of these Mordor Orcs goes undefended, which then deals damage to Minas Tirith. If I don't travel to Grond, then Grond deals damage to Minas Tirith. It's not actually... It's actually not such an obvious decision. But Grond will keep getting worse. so it probably is best to get rid of it. So, okay. Travel to Grant. The Witch King makes attacks. Either deal 3 damage to Minas Tirith, or attacking enemy makes an additional attack after this one. Well, do not want the additional attack for sure. And takes no damage, and I lower my threat by 1. Ready Baragond using the Armored Destria. Unfortunately, this means I can't discard a shadow card, because no other shadow cards have been dealt yet. Now, one more Mordor Orc should probably go here. And we deal out shadow cards. So, Baragond has 1 more defense available, which should go on this Morgul Captain. I can defend with a Dundingle Warrior, so let's do that. So that's fine. Yep, do not have any archery. Let's see, Gandalf still has 2 actions left, so one of them can be used for Naya, if I want. Let's see, a Mordor Orc can be killed by Theoden without using Herogrim. Beachbone, of course, is always an option. Though I don't know if it's necessary. Okay, so it would be good to kill something with Theoden, because then I could trigger Foehammer. I could use 1 Gandalf action for Naya and another for an attack. Factoring in Merry, could be 2 attacks. So I think then I potentially end up with just 1 Mordor Orc left. I could take Overcome by Grief. By just chomping with Master of the Forge, rather than allowing the Mordor Orc to damage Minas Tirith. So let's see, I can exhaust this Warden of Healing. Oh yeah, that was the other thing. Yes, right, yes, no, that's how I do it. So, I exhaust Gandalf's Staff to discard the shadow card from this Mordor Orc. Okay, so now I actually defend with Beachbone. Then I exhaust Gandalf and Naya to ready the Dundingle Warrior and Beachbone. Beachbone now has 2 defense, so he takes no damage. The Dundingle Warrior defends against this Mordor Orc and takes no damage. Baragond defends against this Morgul Captain, takes no damage. I have to discard a non-objective attachment I control, which of course is going to be the Leaf-Wrapped Lembas. Oh, actually no, I might discard Steward of Gondor, because then I can play it onto Aragorn instead. I mean, I don't plan to use the leaf-wrapped lembas, and I suppose it could be useful having the extra lore resources to repeatedly ready my Warden of Healing. So, I'm not sure. Let's just leave it like this. And I actually haven't... Oh, no, I have used Shadowfax. Okay, so... Theoden attacks and kills a Mordor Orc. I trigger Foe Hammer and draw 3 cards. Beachbone actually is now 3 attack thanks to Naya, so he can kill this Mordor Orc by himself. I can use my Master of the Forge, grab a spare copy of Steward of Gondor, and I have just Gandalf left to kill the Morgul Captain, and trigger Glamdring to draw a card. And I've been forgetting this effect, of course. When an enemy is destroyed, place progress on this stage equal to that enemy's total threat. So, Mordor Orcs are 1, so 1, 1, and the Morgul Captain is 3. 1, 2, 3. Grond goes to the victory display. And the Warden of Healing will heal up. Let's see. Beachbone in case I want to use his ability, and Theoden in case he needs to defend. At the end of the round there are 4 enemies in the staging area, so I deal 4 damage to Minas Tirith. Control N. Okay, Arwen would be good to have. So let's just go for that straight away. I certainly could go for Mablung. More additional willpower. Take this guy out of the staging area. Let's do that. And he is +1 engagement cost from Pippin, so I do get to draw a card for Pippin. Over here, well, Grimbold, Treebeard, Dagger of Westerness, Golden Shield. I have been healing up Theoden in case he gets used as a defender, so let's give him the Golden Shield, discarding the Gondorian Shield. Dagger of Westerness is probably not that important, but it will make it easier for me to trigger Foe Hammer. I can still trigger Herogrim while I do it. Then Grimbold might well be my choice, or of course there's the Tireless Hunter thing, but Grimbold is probably better. Can't afford Treebeard anymore. So, Grimbold. And okay, beginning of the quest phase. Add resources here, remove a resource here, there are no resources there anymore. So, Aragorn comes into play, and just move this whole deck across a bit. Of course, Aragorn does not exhaust a quest because he has 2 artifacts attached. So, there is now 14 threat in the staging area. Each Wraith on Wings is 4. But, let's see. Oh, I will be getting the bonus from Esquire of Gondor because Mablung is a Gondor character. Oh, I should have been getting it already because Master Ironsmith is a Gondor character. I totally forgot about that. So 3. Oh no. Oh right. Yes. Banner of Elendil only applies to this deck is first player. Right. Yes. So the Banner of Elendil gives +1 willpower to each other questing character you control. So that does include Pippin. It does not include Aragorn himself. So 3, 7, 10, 13, 16, 21, 24, 26, that should be fine. In fact, I'm going to pull back Merry to potentially have more combat actions available. So we're questing for 23 against 14. And we only need to break even. Surge. Black Dart. Remove a hero you control from the quest and attach Black Dart to that hero. Condition attachment with the text forced at the end of the round. Deal 1 damage to attached hero. Okay, well of course that will have to go on Pippin. Fortunately I do have the Warden of Healing available. And City Wall. While City Wall is the active location, damage that would be placed on Minas Tirith must be placed here first. Forced when City Wall has damage equal to its quest points, discard it, then each player raises his threat by 3. So I have added 4 threat to the staging area. So I've quested successfully. I ready Theoden. Now, do I want to travel to the City Wall? Obviously, I can soak up some damage, but it also could soak up some progress that I place by killing the enemies, where otherwise I might be getting towards advancing the quest. Well, in fact, so the forced effect here, of course it says, when an enemy is destroyed, place progress on the stage equal to that enemy's total threat. I assume the reason it specifies when and total is so that it counts Wraiths on Wings as their full value based on the resources on them, rather than 0. Because it's when they're destroyed, so they still have the resources, rather than after, when the resources are gone and they're 0. And total threat rather than printed threat. So, under that interpretation, if I were to not travel to the City Wall and kill a Wraith on Wings, I would, well, I'd kill a Wraith on Wings and the Southron Champion, say, or both Mordor Orcs. Then I would just advance the quest immediately. So that's fairly tempting, if I could do it. So let's see, I have to engage Mordor Orc. Baragond can defend 3 times. I can discard Grimbold if I really need to, but I shouldn't need to. Killing a Wraith on Wings is not going to be quite possible without using Eowyn, I think. Actually, it might be possible without using Eowyn if this deck does it. This deck couldn't do it because all I have is Gandalf, who is 6, and Aragorn, who is 5, and his +1 with the Banner of Elendil, and actually, if I throw in the Master of the Forge, no, it's still not quite enough. I did not send Gandalf on the quest. That's fine. But this deck, on the other hand, Theoden is 6. Merry would be 3, 4. Gandalf is ranged. Yeah, I would not need to trigger Eowyn. So let's engage a Wraith on Wings here, and a Mordor Orc here. Deal out shadow cards. Exhaust Gandalf's staff to discard the shadow card from the Wraith on Wings. Then let's see. Beregond obviously has to defend the Wraith on Wings. Dundingle Warrior will defend a Mordor Orc. Beregond defends a Mordor Orc. Take no damage, lower my threat by 1. Ready with the Armored Destrier, discarding this shadow card. Defend again, defend again. Use the Master of the Forge, grab a Wizard Pipe. Found a Test of Will. Okay. So Gandalf can kill the Southern Champion, which is 2 progress. And he can kill a Mordor Orc, which is 1 progress, and I draw a card for Glamdring. Aragorn can kill the other Mordor Orc, 1 progress. Theoden attacks for 6. Merry is another 4, so that's 10. Gandalf is another 6. The Wraith on Wings is dead. Another 4 progress, which is 14 out of 12. I advanced to stage 4 of the quest. Horns, horns, horns. In dark Mindolluin's sides they dimly echoed. Great horns of the north wildly blowing. Rohan had come at last. When revealed, set the Witch King aside out of play. Each player searches the top 10 cards of his deck for an ally that matches the sphere of a hero he controls and puts it into play under his control. Each player shuffles his deck. So, top 10. Well, let's take the 4-cost Halberad for free. And over here, top 10, Legolas, of course. And shuffle. The hosts of Mordor wailed, and terror took them, and they fled and died, and the hoofs of wrath rode over them. Progress that would be placed on this stage by questing successfully is instead assigned as damage among enemies in play. Progress must be placed on the active location first. Forced at the end of the quest phase, advance to stage 5A. Now, we are still in the combat phase. I have just killed an enemy using Merry, so I can trigger Merry's ability to ready Gandalf, since he also participated in the attack. I will exhaust Bofur to search the top 5 cards of this deck for a weapon. Take this Blade of Gondolin. And now Warden of Healing. So let's see, Theoden and Eowyn, and I can exhaust Gandalf and Naya to ready the Warden of Healing, and I guess Bofur. Exhaust Bofur, grab another Blade of Gondolin. And Warden of Healing. Let's do the Hobbits next. At the end of the round, there is one enemy in the staging area, so I deal 1 damage to Minas Tirith. Aragorn moves over here. I deal 1 damage to Pippin for the Black Dart. Control N. Guess I should move this deck a bit further to the left. Okay. So let's see. I could just play Skinbark. Once again, Tireless Hunters could be a thing. Actually, I could play Treebeard, using Aragorn's resource as well. Let's do that. Bring the Ents into play. Additional resource tokens per round 1. Over here. Okay, let's see. I have a total of 6 resources. Let's exhaust Gandalf's staff to add a resource. Play a good harvest, naming leadership. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 for Gimli, and the sword that was broken on Aragorn. I'll just put the sword that was broken, willpower onto Aragorn. Obviously, since he moves, the bonus to everyone else, I can't really note that down with tokens sensibly. So, okay, questing. Aragorn is 4 willpower. Everyone else controlled by this deck is +2. So 4, 9, 16, 20. That's a good start. 22, 24, 26, 29. The threat in the staging area is 8. 29 against 8. Progress is dealt as damage, so I want at least 12 progress to kill this Wraith on Wings. Nine left over. Can probably send Mary for another 5. Okay, 34 willpower, and we reveal a War Mumak. Archery 2 cannot have attachments or take more than 3 damage each round. When it's defeated, reduce each player's threat by 4. And Pelennor Field. Okay. So, 6 threat added, I make 20 progress. So 3 damage here, 12 damage here, and 5 progress left over, because of course there's the damage choke on the War Mumak. So now I'm advancing to stage 5, which means, per the campaign card, I add the Man of Harad to the staging area. And now the fighting waxed furious on the fields of the Pelennor, and the din of arms rose upon high, with the crying of men and the neighing of horses. When revealed, the first player adds the Witch King to the staging area, sorcerer side face up. Then he searches the encounter deck and discard pile for a fell beast and attaches it to the Witch King if able. Shuffle the encounter deck. Each other player reveals an encounter card. So, Witch King, fell beast. shuffle the encounter deck, and the other player reveals an encounter card, which is a Pelennor Field. The Witch King and shadow cards dealt to the Witch King are immune to player card effects. I need to remember to flip him over. Only the engaged player can declare attackers against the Witch King. Forced at the beginning of the encounter phase, the Witch King engages the first player, then it makes an immediate attack. And the Fell Beast, attached to an Asgard enemy, limit 1 per enemy, counts as a mount attachment with the text, attached enemy gets +1 threat, +1 attack, +1 defense at -10 engagement cost. Forced at the end of the round, return attached enemy to the staging area. Forced, when an enemy attacks and destroys a character, deal 1 damage to Minas Tirith. This stage cannot be defeated unless Aragorn is in play and the Witch King is in the victory display. If the players defeat this stage, they win the game. So, let's use my Master of the Forge. Grab this Armored Destria. Shuffle my deck. Okay. Yes, I did reveal an enemy, so Gimli should be ready. I quested successfully, so Theoden should be ready. Now, I don't need to travel, but I should. The city wall has more threat than the Pelennor Fields do, so I'll go there. I don't have to engage the War Mumak. So I probably won't. I mean, it would mean slightly less damage to Minas Tirith, but Minas Tirith still has 38 hit points left. So that's not really a concern. Obviously, killing the War Mumak would be good because of the threat drop and getting rid of the archery, but given the damage choke, it's already taken its 3 damage for this round. I'm not sure the game is going to last 2 more rounds. So, yeah. I would draw a card for Pippin if I engaged this guy here, but it's really not that big a deal. So, beginning of the encounter phase, the Witch King engages the first player, that's fine. Oh, and makes an immediate attack, which I will defend with Baragond. No damage. This deck drops its threat by 1. Oh, no, wait! No, wait, there is a point of damage, because the Witch King is 7 attack with the Fell Beast. But it's fine. I will also engage the Man of Harad here. Random discard from my hand. Blade of Gondolin. Put it in the correct discard pile. And okay. Now, the combat phase. We deal shadow cards. Baragond will defend against the Witch King again. Attacking enemy gets +1 attack, +2 attack. Instead of it has the Mordor trait. Interestingly, the Witch King does not have the Mordor trait. But that still puts him up to 8 attack. So Baragond takes 2 damage. Exhaust the Armored Destria to ready Baragond and discard a shadow card from the Man of Harad. I forgot about archery. There are 3 points of archery to assign. So we'll put 1 on Grimbold and 2 on Legolas. And now Baragond defends against the Man of Harad. This time he does take no damage. And so this deck loses threat by 1. Now let's see. Aragorn attacks for 5 and adds 1 to each other attacking character. So 5, 12, . 17. $21. That's enough. That kills the Witch King. Everyone else is surplus to requirements. The Witch King is dead. I can trigger Foe Hammer. Draw 3 more cards. I could trigger Merry to ready someone. Oh, I also draw a card for Legolas. Let's ready Legolas. And then kill this Man of Harad and draw another card. Exhaust the Warden of Healing. Heal Beregond and Pippin. And then use Gandalf and Naya to ready the Warden and... I guess I'll use Bofur and then ready Bofur. No weapons. And then I ready Bofur and use him again. There we go. And I'll use the Warden of Healing again to heal Beregond and Eowyn. Aragorn moves over here. Pippin takes a damage from the Black Dart. There's one enemy in the staging area. And I think that's it. Control N. So, Suit of Gondor. Okay. The Witch King is in the victory display. Aragorn is in play. All I need to do to win the quest is make the progress, which should be pretty easy at this point. I would like to save a resource for a test of will. That shouldn't be a problem. Exhaust Gandalf's Staff to add a resource to Pippin. And then I'm going to use the Warden 3 times, readying him with Pippin's resources. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. At the end of which the Warden is exhausted. Let's Wizard Pipe Test of Will onto the top of my deck for the hell of it. Over here, none of this really matters. I guess I will play a Westfold Outrider. And put a second Dagger of Westerness onto Merry. Because why not? And now, I do believe there is nothing for me to do at the beginning of the quest phase. There is now 8 threat in the staging area. Aragorn quests for 4. Everyone else controlled by this deck is +2, except for Pippin, who is +3, because of Esquire of Gondor as well. So, 5, 9, 15, 19, 23, 27, 31, 34, 39, 42, 44, 46, 48, 50. A nice round 50 willpower against 8 threat. I only need to make 24 progress. Fire-filled Trench. Forced when a player plays an event that would cancel the effects of a treachery card just revealed from the encounter deck. Cancel the effects of that event, then discard Fire-filled Trench. And City Wall. So that has added 5 threat to the staging area. Let's discard the Westfold Outrider to engage the War Mumak. That's taking 4 threat out of the staging area. So I'm questing for 50 against 9. I could Naya the Warden of Healing to heal a couple of points of damage from my allies, but it's pointless. So that should be it. I make 41 progress. And I win the quest. Yeah, that... okay. I have to say, I think I got lucky in that game. Not in that I won, but in how impressively I won. Usually this quest gets very difficult on stage 3, and so you tend to arrive at stage 5 with Minas Tirith having... I don't know, say less than 20 hit points left? Maybe less than 10? It tends to be a concern that you could actually lose by Minas Tirith taking too much damage, which obviously in this instance it really wasn't. A lot of stuff just stacked up in my favour. I suppose getting Steward of Gondor right away made a big difference, just being able to afford some of these cards really quickly. The fact that I could quickly kill enemies because of a quick Shadowfax, getting... I suppose just what allies you get on stage 2, that also makes a big difference. Both in terms of how strong the allies are once they're in play, so your Beachbone was great. And Warden of Healing also pretty good. Well, very good in the long run. The only Warden I got into play. But also in terms of how many hit points they have, because the fact that Beachbone has 4 hit points allowed me to take 2 rounds on stage 2, which is a luxury you often don't have, because either you complete stage 2 in 1 round and then immediately get the allies, but also immediately get stuffed by the Witch King and extra enemies coming into play, and you travel to Grond and the Witch King attacks you, and so you just don't have enough combat actions. Or you fail to complete stage 2 in 1 round, and then the damage from the enemies in the staging area kills your allies in the staging area, so you don't even get the allies, and then you still get thrown immediately onto stage 3. Or I suppose there's a potential middle ground where you make some progress and the damage kills one of your allies, thus reducing the quest points. So you advance with one of the allies in play. But having higher hit point allies up there allows you as I said, the luxury of staying on that stage. In this case, 4 hit points. It allowed me to stay on that stage and even leave an extra enemy in the staging area on top of the 2 Wraiths on Wings that I wasn't ready for. And still not immediately being thrown onto stage 3. And just taking that extra round allowed me more time to prepare. So yeah, this wouldn't usually go as smoothly. In test plays, it was more the fun but more tense experience that I described, where Minas Tirith is much lower on hit points when you arrive there. I suppose it's also marked the fact that I did so kind of excessively well on Siege of Gondor, because it meant that Aragorn turned up much sooner than he would a lot of the time playing this quest, which really, given the Banner of Elendil, just takes a huge amount of pressure off your willpower requirements. So that brings me to the end of the Flame of the West Saga expansion. We're only one box, 3 quests away from the end of the campaign, though of course that will have to wait until the point at which it was released. Next up, I return to the Dream Chaser cycle to finish that off. I hope you enjoyed this. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed it, please consider supporting me on Patreon. Thank you for watching again, and goodbye.